Hi guys, welcome back. Today we'll be starting where we left off, and I introduced you to biodiversity in the last video, and today we will discuss about taxonomic hierarchy. But before understanding what does this word mean, we need to understand what is the meaning of taxa or taxonomic categories. All the groups and subgroups in which living organisms are classified, right? We learned about classification in the last lecture. So all of those groups and subgroups are known as taxas, or singular we can say taxon. Okay, so these are the groups in which living organisms are divided, and when these groups are present in the form of a ladder, then it is known as taxonomic hierarchy. Okay, what do you mean by ladder? These are the number of groups in which living organisms are divided. They will form a ladder, and this whole thing will be known as taxonomic hierarchy. Clear? The largest group is known as kingdom. We will discuss kingdoms in the upcoming lectures in detail. There are about total of 5 kingdoms in which living organisms are divided on the basis of their characteristics and other things, and we will deal with it in detail. But the first thing are the bases that we need to understand, that how these groups come into being. Clear? So the first one is the kingdom, the largest one. This kingdom is further divided into number of taxas, which are as phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. This order needs to be correct. It is very much important. These are all the taxas in which living organisms are divided, right? And how they are divided based on their similarities and differences, based on their similarities and differences in their internal characteristics, in their genes, according to their evolutionary history that we discussed in the previous lesson. So these are the groups. In order to understand or remember the order of these groups, there is a line that you can take the help of. That is, King Philip came over for good soup. Right? Now, how it is related? If you notice, the first alphabet of the first word is K. That goes to the kingdom. This is for the kingdom. P stands for phylum. C stands for class. O stands for order. F stands for family. G stands for genus. S stands for species. So if it is difficult to understand the order or to remember the order, just remember this line. You can note it down, that King Philip came over for good soup. Now it will be easy for you to remember the order. And why is that order necessary? Because all the kingdoms consist of all the phylums that are present. These phylum composed of all the related classes. Similarly, classes composed of orders. Order, families. Family, genera. Genus, all the related species. That is the basic unit of classification. And what is a species? It consists of similar organism, right? We will discuss it later on. But these are the major divisions. These are the major groups that starts from kingdom and ends on species. So kingdom is the largest one. Then comes phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. These are all the groups in which living organisms are divided. Now, how? What do you mean by division? That how they are divided? I will give you 2 examples for it. If you can see this example. Now, this is the classification of humans, right? Let me increase the size so you can see it properly. This, right? Now, if we see this, this is the classification of human beings. Now, if you see, this is the lowest level species. Then comes genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom. The highest level was the kingdom. Now, when we are going to classify humans into all of these groups, how are we going to classify? We started from kingdom Animalia or kingdom animals. All of the animals were included in the kingdom. This was the largest kingdom. Obviously, we told you, we have discussed it, that kingdom is the largest one. So the kingdom is Animalia. Humans are present in the kingdom Animalia. Okay. Then comes the phylum, that is chordates. Now, what do you mean by chordates? Chordates consist of all the animals which have a backbone. They've got a backbone in them. So all those animals that consist of a backbone will be present in the phylum. And humans consist of humans consist of a backbone. Therefore, their phylum is chordata or chordates. Then come class, mammals. Humans class is mammals. Mammals में कौन से हमारे पास animals आते हैं? With fur or hair and milk glands. Right? Humans have got hair. The fur, that is the resemblance to the hair as well. And milk glands, milk production in females, right? So the class is mammals. Then order is primates. What are primates? Mammals with collarbones and grasping fingers. Grasping, which can grasp easily. So the class is, the order is primates for humans because of these characteristics. Then the family is Hominidae or hominids. Primates with relatively flat faces and three-dimensional vision. Both of these characteristics we have got. There is modification in it, obviously, from the start, but evolution changes everything. Then comes genus, that is Homo, Hominidae with upright posture and large brains. We have got an upright posture and we have got brains. And the last one is the species, that is the Homo sapiens, member of the genus Homo, with a high forehead and thin skull bones. Clear? So this is how the human classification is made, on the basis of the characteristics, on the basis of the similarities and differences. Okay? Similarly, this is for the pea plant. Kingdom is Plantae, phylum is Magnoliophyta, class is Magnoliopsida, order is Fabialis, family is Fabiaceae, genus is Pisum, and species is Pisum sativum. Now you need to remember one thing here. If you see, this is the scientific name for human, Homo sapiens. When it is in the printed form, you can see it is written in the form of italic. The font is italic, slanting form. But when we are writing it down, then you need to underline it. Always remember, when you're writing a scientific name, you need to underline it. Similarly, when I'll write Pisum sativum, I will underline it. We will discuss it in the binomial nomenclature, but this is the thing that you need to understand, that when you're writing the classification of any living organism, you need to underline the species name, the scientific name of the species. Clear? Then the last topic is the discussion of species. We have already discussed it in the chapter number 1, that what is a species? A species is the group of similar organisms which can interbreed with each other and produce fertile offsprings, right? And what was the meaning of the fertile? Those offsprings that can further reproduce as well. There's the third thing. The third thing is they are reproductively isolated from all other species. What do you mean by this? All other species that are present in nature, they are reproductively isolated from them. Meaning only humans can reproduce with each other. Cats can reproduce with each other. Birds can reproduce with each other. This is the meaning, that in nature, they are reproductively isolated from each other. And when they will reproduce according to the nature, only then they will produce fertile offsprings. When their characteristics are same, when the similarities are same, when the genes are same, they will be able to reproduce with each other. But sometimes what happens is, there are certain unnatural crosses occur. On the basis of what? On the basis of the similarities in characteristic to some extent. For example, if we take the example of male donkey and a female horse, we see horse and donkeys have similarities in their characteristics, right? In their internal and external characteristics. So there is a possibility of cross between the male donkey and a female horse, and it results in the production of an offspring that is known as mule, right? Now, what is the purpose behind it? And what would you say this is? This is a living organism that is produced by the unnatural cross. But remember, when this unnatural cross occurs between species that are slightly resembling with each other, then the offspring that will be produced, it will be non-fertile. It won't be able to reproduce further, because of which there will be no generation. This mule will survive, or will जब तक वो जिंदा रह सकेगा, it will survive, and after that it will pass through, right? So the purpose of this unnatural cross is to include the qualities of both donkeys and horse into one individual. We take the best quality male donkey and we take the best quality female horse, and then they are made together in artificial conditions, and they result in the production of a new individual that is known as mule. And this mule has both the qualities of the donkeys and female horse, and thus is much more stronger and powerful as compared to these two, and much more beneficial to the human beings, and much more beneficial for itself as well to survive in this world, right? So this is the history behind the species, that usually the cross occurs according to the nature, that the similarities and differences that will decide whether species can interbreed with each other or not. But remember, this interbreeding cannot be a criteria to determine a species for those individuals which do not reproduce with each other, do not mate with each other, or which are asexual, or which reproduce asexually, right? Like unicellular organisms. For that purpose, we cannot use the reason of interbreeding to determine that what kind of a species that is, that what kind of organisms will be produced after that. For those unicellular organisms, it cannot be used. I hope it is clear. We will be discussing the classification system in the next video. And if you have got any confusion, let me know in the comment section. Would love to hear back from you. Subscribe to my channel, share it, like it, and follow me on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining. Till next time, stay safe. Bye-bye.